So what is PPF? You guys see us work with PPF day in and day out on our social media pages, and you hear us talk about how it's a great investment for any vehicle, whether it's a brand new vehicle or an older vehicle. PPF is going to be a barrier that gets applied to your paint, a physical film that gets applied to your paint, creating a barrier between the paint and road hazards, such as rock chips, scratches, bird droppings, acid rain, stuff like that. Not only is it going to protect it against that, but let's say if it does get scuffed up, if it does get a few minor scratches and swirls, the great thing about this product, LLumar Valor, is that it has self-healing technology. So what this means is you can actually park your vehicle in the sun or in hotter weather, and the scratches and swirl marks actually go away on their own. We have a really nice demonstration up in our waiting room that we've shown you guys a few times, so that's really, really cool. Not only that, but it also comes in with the built-in hydrophobic coating, so it's gonna give you some of those benefits that a ceramic coating gives you, but built into the PPF already. What this is gonna do essentially is any water or bird droppings and stuff like that that does hit the paint or the PPF is actually gonna slide right off. It's gonna give it a really nice, sleek hydrophobic coating on top, making sure that it stays really nice and glossy, and those scratches essentially with that self-healing technology go away on their own. One of the questions we get a lot is PPF noticeable? This question isn't as simple to answer as one might think, because it can be invisible. At the same time, if you're doing something like a partial, like we're doing on this vehicle right here, you will notice it because of the seam. So when you do a partial PPF, you're essentially just doing the partial front. What this consists of is a full bumper, 18 to 24 inches of the hood, and then the tips of the fenders, right? As well as the lights, the mirror caps, all that other good stuff too. So will you be able to see the PPF in the areas where it's applied? No, you shouldn't be able to see the PPF in those areas. But on the hood and on the fenders where the film ends, you will be able to see that seam. However, again, on the bumper, since we are doing full coverage on the bumper, or let's say if somebody was doing a full front, in that instance, you would not be able to see the film applied to the vehicle. So what we have for you guys here is we're actually working on the bumper so we can show you what the PPF looks like at different stages. Over here, we have yet to start working on this side. Saul's knocking out the bumper on his own. We walk a little bit over this way. You can see he's finishing it up. So it kind of shows you what it looks like during the installation, right? And it kind of shows you that when you get a full coverage, like for example, full coverage bumper, the PPF is technically supposed to be invisible. Now, if we walk further over this way, we can show you guys, hit the way, Brandon, where the fender ends, because it is a partial, so we are only doing the tips of the fenders. So if you get up close right here, you can see where the line is that the fender stops. So that is really the only scenario in which you'll be able to see that the PPF is installed on a vehicle is, for example, something like this where you can see an edge on a partial. Sometimes really complicated bumpers do require some relief cuts. You could technically do almost anything in one piece, but what you risk by doing that is film failure in the future. If the patterns are designed to have a relief cut, we usually like to use that relief cut for a reason, because it extends the life and the longevity of the PPF installation. So you've heard us say it a million times, PPF is so great, it's so great, it's so great. But realistically, how does PPF save you money? Well, there's a few ways. First one being you get protection from day one. What this means is that instead of getting PPF, let's say 3 years down the line, where now we have to fix a few scratches that have already been put on the paint before we apply the PPF, you're getting that protection from the very beginning. So not only are you saving yourself money there because you don't have to pay to get it corrected or this and that, but like let's say you get a bunch of rock chips within the first few months or the first few years of you owning your vehicle, repainting a hood bumper could cost anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 depending on the paint and the type of vehicle. Of course, you could always go with the cheaper quality paint, but you get what you pay for. So doing some paint protection film could save you money in the long run by not having to repaint whole panels, as opposed to just replacing the PPF if it gets damaged. Not only that, but it makes keeping your car cleaner a lot easier, meaning that you're going to be taking less trips to the car wash to keep your vehicle clean. With the LLumar Valor, since it has that built-in hydrophobic coating, keeping the car clean and washing it is a breeze. We do have a few common questions that we get all the time. I wrote some of them down and I'll explain to you guys I'll give you guys a few answers here for each question, right? So first off, is PPF invisible and does it affect my vehicle's appearance? As we discussed earlier, PPF is designed to be virtually invisible when you get full coverage on certain panels. Again, this vehicle got a partial. On the areas where the PPF is covering, can't see it. Only place you can see it is where the film ends. This is going to be very typical and standard in any partial front PPF installation, but on the bumper, for example, it got full coverage. You can't even tell that the bumper is protected. So how long does the PPF last? Well, a high quality PPF is going to last anywhere from 5 to 10 years, depending on the durability and how you maintain it. LLumar Valor comes with a 12-year warranty. So for the remainder of essentially the life of the vehicle that you keep it, because on average people keep their vehicles for 6 to 8 years, your vehicle should be protected and covered under that warranty. Another question is, can PPF be applied to any part of the vehicle? For the most part, yes. We can apply PPF to any painted surface on the vehicle. We tend to stay away from chrome pieces because the gloss of the PPF makes the chrome look a little bit weird. It can be applied, but we typically don't recommend it just because the appearance can be thrown off. So, can the PPF be removed without damaging your paint? Absolutely. It all just depends on the type of material, the type of adhesive, and how long the PPF has been on the vehicle. The key here is to take it not only to a professional to have the PPF installed, but to remove it as well. We use steamers, heat guns, whatever needs to be done in order to soften up that glue and peel off the PPF without damaging the paint underneath. Now, if you leave PPF on a vehicle for, let's say, 15, 20 years, there is no guarantee that it's going to be very easy to remove. Once the PPF starts cracking and turning yellow and delaminating, that's when you can run into some issues. But as long as you keep up with the maintenance and you get it removed within that time frame that it's under the warranty, you should be all good.
Hey guys, all right, so one of the questions that we get asked is how durable is our paint protection film? We got this car done. We did a full body on it. I can't remember exactly how long ago it was, but the story on this one was he got sideswiped. We're removing and reapplying PPF. At this point, it's cheaper than repainting. On this one, it was literally the whole side along with the quarter panel. So you can kind of tell, we put the light over here so you can see the actual scratch. It goes all the way here. The damage there. So the whole thing behind this is that we want to show you how durable the PPF is, and we're going to show you by removing it while filming. So we don't even know if it protected or not, but I'm pretty confident it did. So
It's not yellow.
oh yeah, and it's not yellow. All right guys, so here is the moment of truth. As you can see, the PPF is clearly damaged. And all we have behind is, looks like glue. Yeah, that's glue, no damage. How about the bottom where was clearly on the edge right there? All right, so we took out the PPF where the damages was. The paint is in good condition. Nothing happened to it. We did quote out to get it repainted. So remember, it was the quarter panel. It has black in it, red. The two doors, so you got to remove, disassemble, and all that. To do it the right way, $3,500 to get it repainted. Car was going to be down for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days to get it done. At this point, all we're doing is removing the PPF, reapplying the PPF. The car is going to be down for a day and a half. And guess what? No need to repaint. No need to worry if the color is going to match. No need to worry about if they're going to do a good job. The car is still, in good condition. So, hey, is PPF the good way to the way to go? Of course it is. So, if you need your car protected, let us know.
so we removed all the PPF. Danny cleaned up all the glue. He gave it a quick polish. And as you guys can see, there's literally nothing on the paint. So PPF did its job perfectly. Took all of that impact from that side swipe, protected the paint. Same thing here. You guys can see there was some really iffy looking stuff. It was just glue. Hit it with a quick polish. Everything came out really, really well. So now it's time to put the PPF back on it, send him on his way. Hopefully if something happens again, PPF will hold up, do its job, and keep him protected for years to come. So all in all, guys, PPF is a modern solution to keep your vehicle protected from day one and keep it looking pristine for years to come. With how expensive vehicles are getting these days, you're talking about anywhere from $40,000 to $150,000 for vehicles. Why wouldn't you want to spend the money to protect an investment that expensive? It maintains the resale value, it protects it against damage, and it makes it super easy to clean. So if you're in Illinois or the Chicagoland area, swing on by. We're in Addison, Illinois, 19 West Fullerton. We are experts, professionals in PPF installations, precision, and aesthetics. So if you have any other questions or you want a little bit more info, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'd be happy to help. Have a nice day.